Excellent.
Okay, and we are live. Welcome, everybody. Today we have a super special guest, Pauline Longdon. Hi, Pauline.
Hey, Jade, how you doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I have been lucky enough, Pauline, to follow your journey for the last 5 years. And we had a conversation recently that it was so inspirational, and it touched me and everybody that was on that call on such a deep level. I was like, can you come back and can you do this to the largest audience possible, which is who we are talking to today.
Yep.
And we've just said Happy New Year, and we're a couple of weeks into the year, and sometimes this is the point where people start feeling like defeated and beat themselves up because they might have fallen off the horse or things aren't going the way that they expected. So that's, if that's how you're feeling, I would really want you to talk to us today, ask questions, let's get you through this and let's get you moving and get you forward. So with that, I do have to say quickly, Pauline, I don't know if there's any other American company that has ever put on a live webinar with two people that talk funny like the two.
I love it. Although, do you speak Hollywood South African? Because I speak Hollywood Australian, so people understand me.
My accent has changed so much in the last 10 plus years now, because I used to answer the phones and nobody would understand anything I would say. So it's changed a lot. Yeah, my verbiage has changed a lot.
It has to. I even noticed that you just announced an R there.
I really had to change the way that I said water, more like water, because that one nobody would ever get.
Yeah, it's definitely got a D in it. It doesn't have a T in it. It's like water.
I completely digress. Let's go right back to the beginning. I know right now in the seat that you're in, you're an extremely successful copywriter. But let's backtrack to the beginning. Do you want to tell us your story of how you even found copywriting to start out with?
Yeah, well, copywriting, I never thought I'd be a copywriter. It wasn't something that I had on the, on my to-do list in life. Really, I fell into copywriting because I had a business, like a new age healing business, that basically I knew that I could scale it up. I got it up to a really good level, and I thought, oh, surely there's more money in this, but there's just something missing. So I studied marketing, and I saw that all the ads everyone was doing was the blind following the blind, and I just went, you know what, there's got to be something to this. So I started to learn marketing, and one of the guys said there's 3 skills you need in life to succeed in business, and that is speaking, being able to speak, and this pays off in this kind of format here, marketing. And then he said, and the third one is copywriting. And I went, oh, writing. And I went, okay. So then I started to learn copywriting, and it really excited me because it really was all of the concepts that I was thinking up in marketing, but finding the words. And previously I had actually hired a copywriter or a marketing company to write what we called a shock and awe pack for my business. And it made me cry. It was shockingly awful. And it made me sound like a charlatan, and I wouldn't have given me money, and I knew what I did and how good I was. So it really disappointed me. So that's how I had to find copywriting, because I just couldn't find a copywriter who had the right voice and had the right empathy, compassion, and because when you write copy, it's really not about you and your business. It's about the person you're writing to. And that copywriter totally missed that connection. I think he turned left at Albuquerque and ended up somewhere in the desert of, no emotion land.
He's as dry as the desert in the central of Australia.
Yeah, that's right. It's pretty dry out there. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So, I think that first off, just as a copy lesson, you've nailed 2 huge points, right? You make your clients, customers, the hero, because that's going to make for much stronger copy. And that there is so much opportunity out there, right? Because there's so many different voices, there's so many different needs that people shop around for the right one. And then the other one is I think I say this 10 times a week, be your own first client. And that's exactly what you did,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So then how did you know that what you were writing for yourself was good? Like, where did that come from to put that out there? Because putting your copy out there can be a very like vulnerable feeling. So how did you know you were good enough? Where did that come from?
That's kind of difficult, isn't it? Like, because when you're a copywriter, it can be quite isolating. So the best gauge or the best like litmus test to see if your copy is good is to get it out there in front of people. Like, if people buy from it or if people engage with you, or, I mean, when I first started copywriting, Facebook wasn't around. I mean, I know, hard to believe, but it was only like, 9-10 years ago or something like that. And so, like, if I was, starting out today, I'd just be putting my, and I do, by the way, I just put little copy chunks as Facebook posts and see how people interact with it. And then it's like, okay, so people didn't interact with that. So let's write it this way. Or then I've got groups that I'm in and I say, like, even we were joking about the Americanization thing. It's like, oh, look, ladies, I'm not sure how to say this. I normally say it this way. Do you say it this way? I think peer critiques are really good for that kind of thing, just to make sure that you're on the right track, because you can sit in a vacuum and think, oh, man, my copy sucks. But you could be like one of the best copywriters on the planet. But if you're not getting some kind of feedback, and that's, I mean, I'm just going to give you guys a plug. That's what I love about AWAI. You've got peer groups. You got like groups that will do critiques for you. It depends on what level you're at and what program you're doing. But there is feedback. But I just noticed that a lot of copywriters, especially, are very nervous about having their copy critiqued. But here's the thing. Get it out of your mind that the person is critiquing you. They're critiquing a copy. And people will say, and I don't like this statement a bit, but they'll say, don't take it personally. But when you write copy, it's such a creative, personal experience that you can't not take it personally. But so be aware of that, but also be aware that, for the most part, let's say 80% of people are not attacking you personally. They will attack your copy. But if someone does attack you personally, never have another critique from that person ever again, because they're not a good coach, mentor, critiquer. They should never attack you as a person. Like, for me, I had a copy mentor call me retarded, and he, said, I don't even think you can speak English. And I said, I do speak Australian, which is English. And he got really nasty. So I broke up with him. I said, I'm paying you to be insulted. No, that's not happening anymore. So I've told you a long answer to that very short question, but I think I just want to empower people that, like, get yourself good mentors, get yourself good influencers. Your success will be the product of what you put into the mix right now. So always search for the best ingredients, the best people, the best experiences. So, yeah.
I love that. And I think somebody that we both love very much, Marcella Allison, something that she's always said that stuck to me is that you are not your copy, and that the only way to ever get better is to get feedback, right? Otherwise, you're never going to, not only you're not going to move forward, you're not going to progress at all without that. But I love that extra layer of the ingredients. Like, yes, get your copy critique, but don't let anybody bully you about it, And that's why I will plug us, and I say, like, that's where we are a safe space. Like, we vet our reviewers and everybody that is in our world, and it's all done super kindly and nicely. So don't worry about that at all. Okay, so I already have a couple questions coming in here. Now, I know that you have, beyond copy, published a book. Lily is asking, I've been writing a book for the past 6 years, but I let fear get in my way. What is your feedback on what I should do? Do you have any advice on getting your book out there?
Yeah, get out of the way. The funny thing is that I did write a book, and when I first released it, it was like just a picture book. It was like so thin, and I make a joke that it was so thin because I sat on it for years, which would make it really thin. But anyway, so what happened, though, was when I released that book and I self-published and I used all my marketing skills to get it published, I self-published it, but I didn't have to pay for it. I actually pre-sold that book and paid for it with that money. But So what I did with writing the book, though, so I had it out there and everyone really liked it, everyone who had it. But at the time, because we're in the olden days, maybe 10 years ago, no, it wasn't 10 years ago, it was about 8 or 7 years ago, I wanted to get it onto Kindle, but Kindle was black and white, and the book, let me just grab it, is it's got like pictures in it. And so that wasn't never going to work on Kindle. So Kindle updates, it's now color, and so I had an opportunity to I paid a guy to help me get it on Kindle. And Ray, my partner, said, you know what, it's such a skinny little book, you're not doing it justice, you didn't write about your story, you know, there's bits of your story that are raw and real, no one's talking about the, you know, like attempted suicide and stuff like that, because this is all about like depression and my journey through it and how it kicked its butt. And then so Ray said to me, okay, so you've got to hand this in by Saturday morning, because the guy was in London. It was a Friday deadline for him. It was Wednesday. And she said, do you want to add a few more chapters? And I went, no, yeah, for sure. Why not? She goes, what are you going to write about? So I just sat there and I wrote a list, and I had about 25 things that I wanted to write about. I said, they're about a chapter each, aren't they? She goes, oh my goodness, like you never do anything by a little bit, do you? You have to go all in. I said, I'm sure I could write like 25 chapters in, you know, about 48 hours, couldn't I? She goes, all right, job's on. You want to do it? You show me you can do it. I think I wrote about 20 chapters in that amount of time. And the way I did it though, Jade, is that here's the thing. It depends on what you're writing a book about. So for me, I was just really channeling my story. I was writing about my story. I know it better than anyone else. But instead of thinking and grinding my gears, I'll show you what else I've got. I've got this little guy. It's like, I call it a copy bug. And it's like a little digital timer. Don't trust me with my iPhone to time me, because I'll be on there playing. But this little guy, it's got that little tick, 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 tick. And then it's got the little bell at the end. I would sit there and I do a chapter in a copy chunk. Now, for me, a copy chunk is 50 minutes. It's not 20 minutes, 33 minutes, because here's something I want to share with everyone. It actually takes you from a standing start, 23 minutes to get into your creative zone. If you're doing a 20-minute writing chunk, you don't even hit your creative zone. And if you do 33 minutes, you write for 10 minutes in your creative zone, then you shut it down, which is always why you just feel like you're hitting your stride as the timer goes off. So that's why I did 50 minutes. So I'm telling everyone everything today. That's okay. But
that also makes sense how Clayton would always talk about bearing the lead, right? Because not only do you have warm-up copy, but if you are taking that time to get into the creative zone, that makes so much sense, like to add on to that. Wow.
Yeah. So I sat there and I just was focused. I stopped everything for a couple of days, and I ended up like filling up, you know, this book. It's it's what, 140 something pages or something like that, and I got it done. So but when we're going to talk about something important shortly, the unshakable why. That's going to circle back to getting things done that are important to you, because people, I'm not saying that you're giving yourself excuses not to get your book done, but even if you just worked on it for half an hour a day, set a timer. Well, do it for 50 minutes, like get in your creative zone, 50 minutes a day, just sit there and it'll be done before you know it. But so I basically was writing the chapters. Ray was upstairs editing them. Like whenever I was finished a chapter, I printed up. And by the way, it was only a couple of pages each chapter. I didn't over aim. Like I didn't think, yes, I'm going to write a chapter of 10 pages each. Some of them are probably about like 3 pages, 4 pages. Some are a bit longer. But here's the thing. Each chapter was one point, one thought, because what I did, I went through and I basically wrote like bullets about what I wanted to talk about. And then I just wrote about them. That's it.
Well, I think, yes, let's dive deep. Let's go in there. Let's talk about it, because you brought up, kicking depression's butt in your terminology. And one of the things that made me want to bring this conversation to everybody is I love this ideology that you have about unshakable why. Can you explain what it is? Can you explain how you got it, how it came about, all of that goodness?
Yeah. Okay. So, should I go back to the tree story, the tree bit of my story?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
you should.
So, all right. So, I just wasn't sure where to insert it, but so I'm going to give people a trigger warning. There's a little bit of heavy emotional content just coming your way, but don't worry. There's a happy ending because like I'm sitting right here, so it's good. So years ago I was in the army. I was in there for like 14 years, and they just kept sending me on operation, and I just burnt out. And because I was a trauma nurse, I was on high alert all the time, and where they sent us were kind of like a bit dangerous. So came back, and after a while they said, okay, so we're going to send you to Iraq next. And I went, I won't, I'm out. So anyway, so I actually said to them that I had depression, and so that was basically the slow, painful end of my military career, because just they were jackasses back then. But anyway, happy that they were. So the day I was discharged was really traumatic for me because they gave me a great big pile of paper about that big. I said, read this, sign this, and off you go. At that time, depression had fried my brain so hard that I call it functionally illiterate. I couldn't read or write. And when I looked at those papers, there was no way I could read them because they were just a jumble of letters and words. And then when I signed my name, I just signed it with an X because I couldn't remember how to sign my name or, how to spell my name. So that was it. So that day I just thought, that's it. End of the world. I'm out of here. Because I couldn't read or write, there was going to be no suicide note. There was just going to be this anonymous exit out of my life, basically. I'd already picked a tree that I was sturdy enough to withstand it because, I was a trauma nurse, and I'm always about strategy and perfectionism, doing things right. So I knew how fast I had to drive to get to that tree, hit that tree, and then be out. So on the way home that day, I took a detour to drive to where that tree was. I knew exactly where I had to start to accelerate. So I got to that point, started to accelerate, started to head towards the tree. I was only like moments away from that tree, and a freaking voice somewhere in the car yelled out, "Stop the effing car." She swore. I'm not going to because I'm not a gutter mouth like whoever swore. But anyway, it's like, "Stop the effing car." It's like, what? And so then I stopped the car, and then I just got another thought after that was, Pauline, you're a trauma nurse. You know damn well that if you stuff this up, you're going to end up as a vegetable. Like, you've nursed people who have stuffed up their deaths, so don't do it. And so I just went, oh, yeah, you're probably right. Started to cry, and I went, what do I do? And then it's like silence, and I went, yeah, that's the right time to like leave me, isn't it? Anyway, so I kept crying, started up the car, drove home, did what every respectable adult would do. I went home, curled up into a ball of tears and tissues and cried myself to sleep. It's like, what if I'm going to be here? What am I meant to do? So then it became apparent that the thing was, it seemed I had to be here. So it's like, okay, so I had a choice, fork in the road. It's like I can either keep going on a self-destructive path and just have a shit life, or I can actually make a dedication now to be here and make a difference and do something. And it doesn't have to be about me. And in fact, a lot of the time, Jade, it's not about me. It's about what I do for other people, which makes me feel good. And that takes me back to my nursing roots. Why was I a nurse? Because I like to help people. I like to help people on the worst day of their life feel better about themselves, or give them comfort as they departed this world. That's what I like, about nursing. So, okay, so now going back to like this unshakable why thing. So I noticed in a lot of this personal development stuff that I was doing that people would have these grandiose, hairy, audacious whys. And this is not poking fun of anyone. It's just an observation, right? So people would have these great big, goals and dreams, aspirations, and it would be something like, I want to go to India or Pakistan or somewhere, and I want to start an orphanage. I want to get kids off the streets. I want to give them educations, and I'm going to, have 100 children by, you know, the end of 2021 or something in this orphanage. Or other people is, I'm going to go to Thailand and I want to get 1,000 sex workers off the street and get them educated and all that sort of stuff. And they're really great goals. But here's the thing about them. They never did them. I check back with my friends and say, how's your why going? Have you actually done it? And they go, no, like life got in the way. Well, nowadays it's COVID is the excuse for everything. But, you know, to be like, no, I had to do this, or someone did this and I couldn't do it. And then I started to unpack it and try to understand why they weren't achieving them. And what I worked out was their why was outside of themselves, and their why was really outsourceable. Like, doesn't matter if that one person does that why, or can other people step up and do that why. And it's kind of like Cialdini, Robert Cialdini mentions what he calls, I can't remember, but I call it the bystander effect, that if everyone's looking at someone having a heart attack on the street and they all assume that each other are ringing 911.
Yeah.
But no one rings 911 and you die of a heart attack. So he said, when you're having a heart attack on the street, say, hey, you in the blue shirt, ring 911. Person in the blue shirt goes, hey, that's me. I'm ringing 911. So there's a definitive like target. Mm-hmm. So I started to unpack this and go, I wonder, like, all right, this why needs to be within me. So it needs to be something that's important to me. So I started to think about, okay, what's important to me? And so, and this is where it maybe goes a little bit woo-woo, but there's a person that is very important to me in my life. And everyone goes, yeah, your mom, your dad, your blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, it's actually me, because here's the thing. If I'm not the pebble in the middle of my own pond, no ripples go out into the world. Like, if I hadn't hit that tree that day, I would have ceased to exist. Like, there would have been no Pauline's life after that. So just, we need to get over the whole idea that we're selfish by thinking that we are the center of our universe, because we are the center of our universe. We are the most important part of our life. Without us, there is no life. So that was something that came to me. And I went, you know what? What about if my why, my unshakable why, because I'm a copywriter, you have to use really awesome words. So unshakable why. What if that was me 20 years in the future? And why did I choose 20 years? Well, because I really feel for that woman. And actually, she's a couple of years older than my mum. So I've got to really, as a daughter, I'm trying to make my parents' life easier. So why wouldn't I want to do that for an older version of myself too? Yeah. And since I spoke to you, Jade, I've actually refined what her life is like. Ooh. My unshakable why is me 20 years in the future, where I am a trust fund retiree. She's like living on the money I'm making now. She's like having the life. She's on a private island, having fun, drinking cocktails, probably getting way too much sun for her skin type, because she's still very light. She goes like white, red, never tans. She has really great choices in life, like health choices. So I found a point of where I want to be on my timeline that motivates me, that I can't outsource that to anyone else. No one else cares about me as much as I care about me. And here's the thing, and why did I choose 20 years or me in the future? Well, what I do now, right now in this moment, directly affects her future or her standard of life. So if I take on a client that's not going to pay me or is going to disrespect me, that's going to chip away at my confidence. And it's almost like Back to the Future, when Marty McFly's family starts to fade in the photo. It's like, what makes that photo fade and what makes that photo stronger? What changes that photo to the vision that I have of her? Does this decision that I'm making now make the photo stronger, or does it make it fade like Marty McFly? So that's my unshakable why. And so when you've got an unshakable why like that, Jade, you don't make excuses. You don't let things get in the way. Like last year, I had a whole heap of stuff happen, especially like I think when you were interviewing me, I was just in the tail end of some heavy duty stuff. But although stuff like that was happening, I was still getting up at, I think it was 3:30 or 4:30 in the morning for my mentoring calls with Paris, which I've been doing for now 5 years, which is a record. I was still showing up for my clients, although I had to spend more time with my family. I was still with my family. Why? Because everything that I was doing had a pivotal part in my unshakable why.
Yeah.
And anything that didn't, I had to drop at that moment in time. So
I think that even though sometimes people think that it is outside of themselves, like I could say, you know, for my daughter, but what is it that happens to her? How does that make me feel, right? And then so I'm able to bring it right back to me. Like, so I obviously want more of that feeling of when my daughter is happy, how that makes me feel. So you can like go through the layers, right, to bring it back to yourself. Like you said, that pebble in the center, no matter what you want those ripples to be. We so often people are focused on those outside ripples, and it's about getting to that center of yourself. So
well, I mean, think about this as well, Jade. Like, bring it back a ripple or two. But what happens to your daughter if you aren't there in her life?
Yes.
That's the biggest. That's the biggest thing. So you have to look after you. And then, like with my dad recently, because he was diagnosed with cancer, and then some other things happened. And I said to him, you know, think about the ripples out in your life. It's like, do you want to be around to see your granddaughter get married? And he said, yes. I said, well, don't be sick. Let's get better. Let's focus on what's happening out there. So I said, you can think about all the people on the outside, but your healing and your life starts with you. So let's go back to that and stop doing so many things for people on the outside. And so he's had a huge like turnaround in his mindset, because I guess, you know, one thing that people ask me is, what's the key to my success? And it's mindset, 100%.
I love that. So there's a couple questions that have come in. One from Monique, and Monique, I don't know if you know, she's talking about an MFA. It must be some sort of like higher level education.
Yeah, is that Todd Brown?
Okay. So what level of copywriting education did you have before you got started?
It's like I got started as I got my copywriting. I didn't wait. It's like just jumped into it. And you know, like probably when I was a freelancer, like, you know, because remember I was writing for myself, so I'm taking courses and I'm applying what I'm learning straight away. When did I decide to become a freelancer? A little while later. And what that came out of, and it's funny because you'll be your own best advertisement, because I was writing my own ads, I was writing my own copy, and people started to say, who's writing your copy? And it's like, oh, I am. Yeah, okay, but who's really writing your copy? It's like, no, I am. Oh, well, can you write mine? So that's how it started. So yeah, you know, I did a couple of just online courses, and then within about a year of going, you know, like freelancing and professional, I basically got myself a mentor, and I've had a mentor for the last probably about 8 years. Like, yeah. And it's not the same one,
Yeah, but don't you also think that sometimes you can stop yourself from moving forward by, okay, one more course, one more thing, and then I get started, right? Like, so you just dove right in and head first and did it. Okay.
Well, I knew what I wanted to be. I wanted to be an aidless copywriter. So that was my MO from the start. And so I just kept going from, you know, knowledge source. Yep.
So another question from Marianne McKee. She's asking, we referenced earlier on, you said that you're a part of these groups, right? Where you can find peers and you can find reviews and even mentors. Are the groups that you're a part of writers in general or specific to copywriters, or what groups do you recommend?
Yeah, so here's a good thing about copywriters is when you critique copy, it's funny because like I usually mark on the paper where I would have stopped reading as a consumer, which is usually a lot earlier than a copywriter would stop reading, because a copywriter wants to find out how good your copy is. So they are usually copywriters. I get copywriters to read my copy, but then I also get non-copywriters. Like for my big promos, I will get a whole heap of people to read my copy, and usually they're going to be someone who is the personal embodiment of that audience.
Yeah, and I think it can vary, right? So you can be a part of everything, just like you should be reading everything as a copywriter. You should not just be reading copy, like read a
Yes.
wide variety. That way you get ideas and you generate things. And sometimes it might even be a part of the group that you're writing for that you join as well, you know. So I think get involved as much as you can. We have, okay, so Gina is asking, how did you find your mentor? Gianna, sorry.
Good question. So my first mentor I kind of came across quite by accident. At that point of my career, I was saying that I wanted to be a copywriter. I was writing copy. I'd done some courses, and in Australia at that time, there was no real like personal mentoring. There was copy coaching, which was being in a group of other copywriters, but I didn't like that. And it's not because I'm an elitist or anything. What it was is I know from, you know, being in the army and being in large groups of people, you usually only travel or grow as fast as the slowest person. And I didn't want that. I wanted to be on the fast track to be an A-lister, and not an A-lister in Australia, not a female A-lister in Australia, just an A-lister, just full stop, you know, as we would say down here, which is more, period. You know, like, it's more like forceful than just period. It's like full stop, you know. I didn't want any qualifiers after my name. So how did I find my mentor? I just started up a friendship with a couple of different copywriters, and then I found one that I really liked. He was out there doing what I wanted to do. He was traveling the world, had the international lifestyle, making money, and I just went, you know what, I'm going to ask him to be my mentor. And by the way, mentoring, a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to have to pay too much for a mentor. Well, sometimes you have to pay to play. And actually, out of the whole 8 years or something, or 9 years I've been doing this now, he was by far the most expensive copywriter mentor that I've had. So, and I could ill afford to do it at the time, but I could ill afford not to do it. So, I
also think that this is going to sound maybe woo-woo to a lot of people, but I have found personally in my life, whenever I'm craving a mentor or mentorship or growth, once I have that desire and put it out there and put out what I want, you'll be amazed the people that are attracted into your life that serve you exactly what you want. So I think step one, know what you want, know what you're looking for, and be vocal about it. And you never know who will come your way, paid or unpaid, you know. So then I had another question for you, because like depression and feeling stuck and all these negative things that we encounter are not once-offs, right? They creep up often. So when you find something like this creeping up again with you, how do you pull back to yourself? How do you pull back to your unshakable? How do you get back to that place?
Yeah, that's a really good one to talk about, because although I wouldn't say that I have depression anymore, still I have these little moments that feel like it could be. And so with depression, what I did, I just started to not allow it to take over weeks and months of my life. If it did show up, it would be, okay, so you've got one day to go through this. Another thing is that just acknowledge what you're going through. Okay, I feel like crap today. Don't try to do that positive mindset stuff of like, oh, I feel great. No, I feel great. Because, you know, it's that whole faking it till you make it.
Yeah.
I don't like faking it till you make it, because you're too busy trying to fake it that you don't even know when you've made it. It's just like you're filling your life with falseness. So just feel the real emotion, acknowledge it, and go, okay, so all right, so I'm feeling a bit down. Let's just, okay, you've got an hour to get through this. So, and that's when I say, okay, so what am I going to do? I could go and try to do something that I'm going to probably balls up anyway. Like I could try to write copy for the next hour, sit at my screen and just go, oh, I'm crap as a writer. Or I can get up, and the list of things range from exercising, which, look at me, do I look like I do a lot of exercising? No. So the other alternative is I have what I call a recalibration nap. So I could sit there for an hour and woe is me, oh, I can't do anything, or force copy out, and then I read it and then I have to redo it anyway. Or what I do is I have a 20-minute recalibration nap before I have I lay down. I just go, okay, brain, I need a headline for this, or I'm doing bullets on this. Help me just to clarify this while I'm babysitting my conscious brain subconscious, you work on this copy. So I can guarantee you though, you'll lay down, you'll think I'm going to have a nap for half an hour or 20 minutes. And within about 15 minutes, your brain will be going, excuse me, I got that thing that you want me to have. And then you get up and you type. And within that 1 hour, you've been super productive instead of just sitting at your desk moping about the fact that you're feeling off. The other thing that I do, and I don't do it as much anymore, but because I was prone to bouts of like not having a really great day or a great moment, was I would put in a bit of a buffer in my deadlines. I wouldn't accept a deadline that would trigger me into anxiety and, spinning and going, oh crap, I've got to hand this in today and I don't feel like it. It's like, no, I know that back then I would maybe have one bad day in a fortnight or in 2 weeks. So it'd be okay. So let's just add another day onto that deadline. We're copywriters. We get to choose our deadlines. And I think that when you're a beginner, people march to the beat of the client's drum instead of trying to get the client to meet, march to the beat of your drum. You're the prize. If they could do without you, they wouldn't be talking to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so. I just imagine like you're stuck in one place, and so you're doing everything you can to get unstuck from that spot by movement, but in any way of literally physically moving yourself out of it. So I like that a lot. Marianne is asking for clarification. When you're talking about a mentor, what is the role of that exactly? Can you define what you mean by mentor?
Okay, so for me, a mentor is someone that's been there, done that, got the T-shirt, got the bank balance, got the track record of what you want to do. Usually for me, if I'm going to choose a mentor, I want them to be earning way more than me. I don't want to have someone who's telling me how to do it. That's a coach. There's a difference between coaches and mentors in my mind. A coach is someone who can tell you how to do it, but hasn't done it themselves, hasn't been at the coalface, and hasn't got the scars to prove it. Whereas a mentor, they've got all of that, and so they're at a different level. There's a different dimension. There's like that personal pain that they can say, from painful personal experience, this is what I did. And you go, oh, right. So the role of a mentor, though, is to be someone that can give you the shortcuts. They say that it's clever to learn from your mistakes, but it's super intelligent to learn from other people's mistakes. If you can learn from other people's mistakes and shortcut your journey, which is why, like I was talking to one of my old mentors yesterday, a really good friend of mine, Lo Morgan, and she said to me yesterday, she said, Pauline, you've come so far so fast. It's like when I look at you, it's unbelievable. I said, because I had mentors like you. I listened to them, and it's that thing, like I can see further because I stand on the giants of those who come before me. A good mentor, a true mentor, will allow you to stand on their shoulders, and a true mentor will allow you to ascend more than they did. They will allow you to be more successful than them. And so I go through this whole good, bad, and ugly mentor thing. And an ugly mentor is someone who will take your successes as them. I call it wearing your mentees' medals. Like when I was in the army, I would never wear my soldiers' medals. So as a mentor, because I mentor people now myself, it's like their successes are their successes. They talk on social media about it. As a mentor, I do not, unless they want me to. Because, a mentor is like that, I don't know, a role model, a guide, just someone who has hacked their way through the jungle and lets you use the same path that they did.
I love that listen part, because I cannot tell you how many times we've had successful members come to us and said, when I finally listened to you guys and did what you said to do, it all worked out. Like, it's like, like Paul, Mark, Katie, they did this for like 20 plus years to create what is there now, like what you're talking about, forge the way and to create all these shortcuts by taking the long way around, right? Like that's the people that you're talking about. So I love that. Bob has a question. How much time do you invest in copywriting in a week on average?
Oh, like all of it? No. Well, here's the thing. I really just jumped down the rabbit hole of copywriting, and not only did I just go and follow the rabbit, I had tea with the rabbit, kind of like Alice in Wonderland. But and we're good mates now. So, but here's the thing. Small hinges swing big doors. So don't think you have to sit there for hours each day and dedicate yourself to copywriting. What I would say is, at a minimum, dedicate half an hour to like reading or writing winning controls, or if there's a piece of copy that makes you buy, then write it out by hand, work out what it did. Because and I know a lot of people don't say, I know AWAI does, but other people say, don't write shit out by hand. It doesn't work. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
But yeah, so don't think that you have to make these great big grandiose things. It's just small, regular consistency is the key. So do things consistently. Now, people will say, but what if okay, so I'm working full time. So I'm here's another good copywriting lesson. Anticipate the objection. So people might say, I don't have time. Here's how I make time in my day. I call it the 3 E's. If I'm doing something, it needs to be entertaining me, educating me, but not as an escape. So I can watch TV. I like watching TV, but I don't sit there for hours and watch it. So if I'm watching TV, it's entertaining me because, hey, I deserve to be entertained. It's educating me. But if it's an escape, and if I find myself at any point of that time going, oh, I hate this show, or oh, I can't stand watching that person on TV, I'm out of there. It's like, ding, ding, escape. Go and do something different. It doesn't matter how tired you are. So here's the thing, Bob. I will do different tasks at different times of the day, depending on where my mind is and how tired I am. So when you're writing out copy by hand, you don't need an alert brain. You don't need your brain to be like at its most productive. I actually see it as a form of meditation, waking meditation. So I'll be sitting there, put on my little timer, half an hour, because I can do half an hour. It's not creative writing. It's just writing out by hand. So I'm sitting there writing it out by hand. My subconscious mind is like writing it out, loving it. My conscious mind is going, oh, hurry up. Like, oh, 29 minutes. Oh, only like 29 minutes to go. When's this going to end? So there's like this thing happening. I don't need to be totally alert. But when I'm reading stuff, reading articles, that'll be earlier in the day or whenever my mind is sharp. So pick your times. And also the other thing is, like, if you're trying to get out of a job that you hate, why would you give that time? Why would you give your best productive time to a job that you hate, that you don't see yourself doing for too much longer? Start to use the best part of your brain, the best part of your time to educate yourself. Like, people will get up an hour earlier to go to the gym. Why don't you go to your brain gym and start to, make yourself like the best copywriter you can be? Because here's the thing. Do I want to be the best copywriter on the planet? No. I think that's limiting anyway, because once you're the best, where do you go from there? I want to be the best copywriter I can be for my clients, and which means I'm always on a pursuit to be better.
I mean, I thought you were going to say, I thought one of your E's was going to be early, because I know how early you wake up in order to make this all successful. Like, what time is it in Australia right now?
Well, it's a respectable 7:43. But Jade, I don't get up early every day, and that's the point. So I get up when I need to get up, and I adjust my day accordingly. But the other thing is, don't fall into the trap. Like, there are some people who are early risers, right? I tried that. I tried the 4 a.m. club. I don't like it. I didn't get on with anyone. I was too cranky. But but then, like, there are people who are night owls. Just find your own groove. You don't have to be a replica of everyone else. Like, find what works for you, because when you're so busy trying to be a mini someone else, you miss out on being a maxi you.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've had so much good feedback come in, like, as you've been talking. Yeah, everybody has been really enjoying it and appreciative of you sharing your story. I have added to the bottom here your website if anybody wants to look into you. any more or getting any more inspiration from you. But before we wrap up, any final words maybe for beginners to this whole journey, or somebody that's not yet cracked what they define as successful, just to get them over or get them going?
Yeah, look, the journey to being a six-figure copywriter begins with a single paycheck. Like, just get your first job. And it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, being a mentor, and I'm also a mentor for AWAI, not as active as I used to be because life got busy. So what I would say is just don't give up. Don't give yourself excuses. And that thing about my unshakable why, when you've got an unshakable why, you know that someone in the future is depending on you and what you do right now. You will do absolutely everything that you can to make that a reality, because here's the thing, if you don't do it, you live the consequences of your actions and inactions. So just remember that. And because the other thing that I wanted to share is that now I think I know who actually screamed in the car that day. And I think it was like my future self 20 years into the future. And by the way, I never meet her, because she's 20 years from this moment right now. So it's not, oh, when I'm 70 or when I'm whatever age. It's not that. I never meet her. So I'm always, you know, doing stuff to help her. So I actually think, Jade, that she's the one who told me to stop the effing car, because she's a gutter mouth in the future. She doesn't care. She's in the 70s. Like, she just doesn't really care. So, yeah, so I think that just brings it home. But just don't give up. Like, if this is important to you, you do want it to work. If you're in a situation where this has to work, or you lose your house, you lose your livelihood, or whatever the consequences are, just get your unshakable why and work towards that, because when you have that, you will never give yourself an excuse again. And here's the thing, maybe this is what I'll end up. Excuses. I have an excuse book, and I haven't used it for a while, and I'm pretty creative, so mine was pretty thick. But every time I gave myself an excuse, I'd write it in my excuse book, never, ever to be used again. You soon run out of excuses.
Yeah. So as you can see, Susan, Bob, everybody is saying thank you so much, Pauline. You know, I believe that your gift is helping others, and that I'm very grateful that that voice swore at you like that in the car, that you're here to share with everybody. And I hope that everybody can, you know, internalize what Pauline is saying today. Come back, rewatch whenever you need that reboot, that recalibration. It's here for you. So thank you so much for your generosity today and sharing your story with all of us.
Oh, Jade, look, you know what? I just adore you. I adore AWAI. I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to give me a platform to share my story. As you know, I keep it very raw and real, and I do that because there is enough fluff and puff out there. People are selling these sugar-coated dreams, and when they don't happen, people get really upset. I want people to know that there are peaks and troughs along the way, but just keep going. Have it very clear in your mind why you do what you do. And so thank you so much, AWAI. I love Katie and Rebecca, and I just love everyone there. Denise, Barb, everyone, Pam. Thank you so much for this opportunity to, you know, and you're going to start playing music to get me off the stage at the moment. So I'm going to wrap it up. But thank you so much, Jade. Like, you've touched my heart, and thank you for allowing me to share my message with people. I appreciate it.
It's just a love fest. I hope everybody feels it. We feel it for Pauline, and we feel it for all of you listening out here today. So thank you, everyone. We'll speak to you soon. Bye, Pauline.
Okay, bye-bye.